just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to an episode of Back in My Day. Do not forget, Bloke jerseys dropping May 4th. Limited edition design we've never done before in the OG colours. On top of that, just a quick note as well. At the moment, there will be no video on Spotify. It'll just be audio. So if you want to watch the podcast, go to YouTube, go to Bloke in a Bar YouTube, subscribe. We're just having some issues with the video file at the moment, so apologies for that. It's out of our control. So if you like the video and you're on Spotify, go to YouTube and watch it. However, obviously all the audio is still there on Spotify. And this is all proudly brought to you by MberX, the best tipping app in all the land. Boys, how we going? How'd you go last week, mate?
4 from 8, bro.
Okay,
Not bad.
okay, not bad.
4 from 8.
Okay.
3 from 8.
3 from 8.
Pretty impressed.
Listen, I truly believe this week, like I know I've said this other weeks, but I truly believe this week was truly the less you got, the more you knew about footy. Yeah, that's my opinion. Like if you essentially went 2 out of 8 or 1 out of 8, I think that kind of proves that you know more about rugby league. Because if you got 4 out of 8,
What are we talking?
well, okay, did you?
So a 1 is a better tipper and they know more about rugby league.
Only this week. Because let's be real here. Like no one saw Bulldogs Penrith. Dragons were supposed to bounce back, even though I got Seagulls. That's the only one I got.
Yeah.
Broncos robbed. Rabbitohs robbed. Sharkies definitely robbed. Storm definitely robbed. Eels should have tailed the Titans up. You know what I'm saying? Like when you actually think about it.
Don't know about that. Titans are pretty
It's a lot of robbery.
When you think of it.
A lot of
Like when
robbery
you
for
actually
round
sit down and
6.
think about it, though, when you do a bit of research on it.
Conspiracy.
So that's all proudly brought to you by MberX, guys. We are tipping currently, so join the Bloke Tipping code. It's Bloke Tipping, all one word. Bloke uppercase, tipping lowercase. Make sure to join. It's free to download. Plus, I got a premium part as well where you can win prizes every single week. And it's just a good app. Like, you know, that's the hard thing with tipping like in the last few years, is some of the apps aren't very easy to use. This is really easy to use. It's the best in the biz. But just quickly, the boys, how'd they go on the weekend, mate?
Mate, the Titans went good, mate.
Sorry.
They went. It was a really good
Oh,
Take the
weekend.
CEO hat off for a second.
can't-
Really good. Yeah, nah.
The team you actually coach, mate.
Yeah,
I know you
our,
fucking got. I know you go for about 20 different teams now.
I know. Foot in every camp. Yeah. The boys went good. They won their first major final, so they got a week off and going to the prelims. So
Manly, Jersey Fleet,
SG Ball.
SG Ball.
Yeah.
So you were playing the Rabbitohs, SG Ball.
Yeah.
Hadn't lost a game all season, the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, hadn't lost a game all year, and then we pipped them first week of the finals, which is great. So,
Wow.
Good stuff.
the boys are going good. They're a good bunch of lads. Lockie Croker's head coach. He's having a fantastic debut year as head coach.
How
Well,
good.
last year they won 1 from 9. This same team.
Yeah, 1 from 9 last year. So they're a good bunch of boys.
In a prelim.
They've worked hard. They're into a prelim now. So
The ex-player effect at Manly. Doing wonders.
the young retirees, we're calling ourselves the young retirees. So you got Lockley Croker, medical retirement, Brad Parker, medical retirement, Cooper Johns, media retirement, and Jack Johns, just shithouse retirement. So basically, the young crew is coming in hot. So they're going good.
Have you had any, like, what's your rev up speed? What's your go-to when you need to get the boys up and about?
Not really. We don't really have to. They're good. They're a good bunch of lads. You know, they listen and they we can't complain. We're pretty lucky, I think.
Is it one in the back pocket, though? You've got to have something ready just to pull out, just in case you're down by 20 at half time.
Croker's very good. He's he's very measured. So like his pump up speeches, they aren't like over the top or over emotional. They're very just like on the nose.
Okay.
You got a player to watch for us. Don't be tossing up too many. Just one.
The
I want your one.
the large brothers are they're very good.
Yeah?
Ashton and Once, they're coming through the pathways there at Manly. Anthony played in I think the NRL trial.
Yeah, looked good.
Looked really good. So that give him a year or two.
Okay.
And
Titans coach 2032.
yeah, I know.
Johns.
No, I was actually Brad Parker. tell you who's understated. Great coach is Bradley Parker. Very
Okay.
good. Outside backs, does a lot of stuff with outside backs, attack and defense.
Yep.
Very, very good.
Okay.
Tough player, Bradley, but I tell you what, he learnt plenty in his career.
Groundskeeper Willie.
Groundskeeper Willie, he's lathering up the grease on himself all the time. Very good, Bradley. So they're a good bunch of lads.
So on the weekend, you use 12 all just before half time. You score a quick one.
We go on just before half time, so 18-12, and then the second half we led about 36-12, and then 6 minutes to go. It's a real lesson for the coaches to learn how quickly they can score points in this age group. They scored 3 tries, the Rabbits, in the last 6 minutes to nearly come back and.
Wow.
I know. So it gives you a real heart attack, junior football.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, they're a good bunch of boys, and it was good. Leading into Coachella, watched a bit of Coachella on the weekend.
Are you a Beaver man?
Who?
A Bieber.
Did you see that young guy that went up there and he put his YouTube highlights up, and then he was watching?
Oh, yeah, the young guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty good, wasn't he?
He's all right. He's all right.
I've heard a bit about him.
Needs to work on his vocals a little bit, but You know,
I know, it was crazy. It was good, but I like that. It's a good tactic, actually.
I thought it was smart. Did you get to watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen it.
I will say this. Did you see the Sabrina Carpenter one as well?
No.
It was pretty hectic. It was theatrical. But I'm a Bieber man. I like Bieber.
Yeah,
100%. Like doing that, putting it on YouTube, getting your YouTube
Yeah.
up.
Take
it's
you
like-
down memory lane.
That's
Gangster.
awesome.
Yeah.
People, people pay good money to go to his house and watch YouTube videos with him.
Surprised you didn't have the 97 grand final highlights.
I know. What about the Aussie band there? The fellas that put Gordy dragging Brett Hodgson as their backdrop. They
What, at Coachella?
yeah, Coachella.
Swear.
Who are they? Oh, was that in Australia? No, I think it was in Coachella. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty confident.
Who is it?
It wasn't on the main stage though. It was the Aussie band. You know they have the Smoko song. The Chats. I'm
The
pretty
Chats.
Sure. Yeah.
How good. That's mad. Gordy's made it to Coachella.
Behind.
That's gangster.
Dude,
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
I don't
They
follow
took
the
Gordy's
chats,
name
but
off
I
one of
respect
the camps there. Gordy's filthy.
It's pretty gnarly. It's pretty gnarly.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was all powered by Lontel, the best internet in all the land, guys. Now, some big news. I wanted to ask you boys, Freddie and Joey on Freddie in the 8th with Danica Mason, she asked them, how many legitimate minutes could they give the Roosters or the Knights if they played today? Joey said 0. Freddie said yes, you would, and hinted he definitely had a few minutes in him, as in yes, you would, I think, to Joey. Fittler also saw Billy Slater play the other day and said he could probably play first grade still. Fittler also played in the Nines when he was 42. What do you reckon, boys? Have you got a few minutes in you? How many minutes you got in you?
I wouldn't make it through a warm-up.
I'm with you. I genuinely would make it through a warm-up. I reckon you still... I can see in your face you think you got something in you.
Yeah, I got something.
How many minutes?
Oh,
You're in the front row now.
Yeah, you're not playing. I was going to say, you're not on the outside back.
Playing middle.
No way.
Yeah, you're in the middle.
I could at least back row.
yeah, at least a good 20 minutes.
20 minutes
Yeah.
of NRL today.
Yeah, I got
That's
20
quick.
You can
minutes.
play 20. You can play more than 20.
Yeah.
You can play 20.
Just take you off and get you back out there. I reckon the hammies are tearing. You're too big,
Oh
mate.
yeah, the hammies. There'd be a
You'd
good
have to
chance of a hammy
bring
injury
out a Badooey and find out.
or a
what
calf, I reckon. Yeah,
The calf? Okay. Bit of
started
soft
to get
tissue?
the calves late in the
Bit of soft tissue?
career, which was
What did Joey
depressing.
say? He said no?
He said no.
Yeah,
He said no.
That's pretty safe. I've seen him walking around. He doesn't look like he's in the greatest nick. It looks like he's.
I agree with Billy Slater though.
Yeah, I saw him playing that older tournament,
Yeah.
and he was moving like silky.
I mean, look, it was a while ago, but we did see him train in Origin, so it was 6 years ago. But at training when he would come,
Yeah.
like he didn't get involved. He was embarrassing other players. It was ridiculous.
You know who still carves up in a pose? Sutto.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just silky, eh?
Just silky.
Tempo.
Okay.
Doesn't
And
run.
he
Doesn't have to
always
move
gets
too
into
fast.
Yeah, gets into Cody Walker and he gets the shits.
Mate, Sutto is one of the smartest blokes I've ever trained alongside. Actually, he's
Really?
for sure. I had him his last year, and then he was coach the next year. The next year when he was coach, he'd do like our captain's run sessions as fullback because he'd call the plays for the team we're playing that week, and he'd run the show from fullback. Mate, he's that silky and he's that smart. Like he'd know exactly like if he wants to catch out players, he was just like. He was way too chill for he's for a coach. He's like the most chill bloke, but he's so calm. Like he'll just see little things in the defensive line and go, "Okay, let's do this." Like he'll know how to catch out.
Jeez,
Like,
I
he's-
love seeing Foz running around with
That
the
is
headset
so-
on.
Oh, wow.
What a
saw that,
sight.
yeah.
That doesn't get the boys up and about. I don't know what
And same
does.
with Benji, like there's something to that.
Yeah.
Like, I just even when I seen Slats at train, it was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like the respect I reckon you get from the players when you're getting amongst it or you want to show them something, then you just go rip it as a coach.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
That gets the boys up and about. No wonder
Doesn't it?
Manly going on so well. Boys, in regards to the scores, first of all, I want to ask you before I get into the details, and this is all on Code Sports, Peter Bedell. I'm personally of the mind, I don't like... Look, every now and then I don't mind a game that's like 40 to 32 or something like that. But if every game is like 30 to 22 and 40 to 30, and I actually don't enjoy it that much because I feel like if you're scoring tries all the time, it takes away, like, it almost desensitizes you to tries. And it's not as exciting, like... Whereas like the build up to a try, like you go back to, for example, like Game 3 Origin when the Blues won, like that build up to Bradman Best's try was insane. Like it was just back and forth and back and forth. Now, granted, I know that's the, almost the exception to the rule because it's Origin. But do you like this new brand of footy that is like basically the days of 16-12 regularly or 20 to 12 or whatever, they're kind of done at the moment?
I don't, bro. So I reckon two things come to mind. First thing that you said is like, what's the build up to a try? And now the build up is, for me, heavily influenced by the referee and the flow of the game. And Origin's a great example. I want to see a 5 to 10 minute arm wrestle and then a team get down into good ball and rip a great play and score a mad try. Whereas now it's end to end. It comes from the flow of play being completely taken over by referee decisions and 6 agains. And then lastly, if you're sitting there going, we want more entertaining football, and you're, at the top, are we just saying more tries, more tries, more tries? Because as a fan, that to me doesn't describe an entertaining football game. But there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And
I was desensitized to the KO Weeks try. Like, it was amazing. I was like, I've seen a lot of them,
like that,
those
that would
tries.
be rare and wow.
Yeah.
Back
That's a really good point, actually, because I feel like not much of a deal has been made of that try. Whereas, like, a few years ago, if a fullback scores that try, it is on the highlight reel. That's a fucking great point. It is on the highlight reel everywhere. Because that try was unbelievable.
Same as that Purdue try was. That was cool too.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's got to drink water to Purdue.
That was, he looks good when he runs. He's just got that long stride. I've got some stats for you, Ren, as well, bro.
Yeah, okay.
Is that
So, 2020 to 2026, quick maths, it's not going to happen. But in 2020, the total points in the first 6 rounds was 1,700. And in 2026, we're at 2,500.
Wow,
That's a huge
Pretty
difference,
significant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Average of 37 to 52.
52. Well, I got some more. This is to Peter Bedell. He got all this. So we're seeing the greatest margin blowout since 2005 and a record number of 40 and 50-plus scores by winning teams heading into round 7. Data supplied by Fox Sports Lab shows the number of 40-plus efforts by winning sides after 6 rounds have increased by 58% this season compared to just the same period last year. Now, South Wayne Bennett has attributed the blowout avalanche to the constant flow of possession being received by the scoring team under rugby league's traditional rule set, century-old kickoff rule. Bennett, one of rugby league's sharpest minds, he thinks that they should revise the kickoff rule and allow the team that gets scored against to kick off themselves. And basically, I'm just going to get some more stats here. Sorry, boys. Statistics show that average margin so far this season has been 17.44, the greatest golf since 2005 Premiership, which posted an average margin of 18. And funnily enough, that was the 2005, obviously, where the Tigers were playing almost touch footy, like diving to the ground really fast. It's a 19% increase on the corresponding period in 2025, which have an average margin of 14.65. So clearly it's all up. After 6 round, average tries have witnessed a 14% increase from 7.75 to 8.6, while the total match points have gone from, as you just said. So yeah, basically it's just all increasing. It's all increasing. The margin's increasing, the amount of tries being increased. Bennett thinks that they should change the kickoff rule. Michael Maguire said he's old school. He wants to keep it the same. I'd love to get your thoughts. Now, my personal thought is like I feel like we're adding another rule to fix the rule that we brought in. Like the blowouts aren't because the kickoff rule needs to be changed. The blowouts are because we brought in 6 against to the 20-meter mark rather than the 40-meter mark.
Yeah.
And so like I'm not understanding why Wayne is pushing for it, because it's like that's not the problem. Like that's just another Band-Aid on a problem that already exists. And also what I don't get with that as well is like, just because you kick the ball off doesn't mean you aren't going to get absolutely bashed in your end. And the momentum can still shift back into the other team's side anyway. But I'll go to you, Jack, mate. What are your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I think it's no coincidence that the Tigers are going really well with this style of footy. Obviously, Benji thrived in it in 2005. I think it's just one of those things too, like coaches don't know how to adapt their coaching styles to these rules still. I think especially coaches that have been around for longer than the pre-COVID period. Like the balance of, I'll look at the Dolphins as a great example, like the balance of knowing how much to focus in attack and how to counterpunch compared to sitting in your own 10 and defending your line for so long. Like I feel like the teams that are benefiting the most are the teams that are counterpunching a lot better rather than being able to defend for long periods of time. I think like this at the moment, like this period where these coaches are now coming out and saying these like Wayne and Michael Maguire, it's probably because it gives the coaches a little bit more control. That's why they'd be wanting this at the moment. But fixing these blowouts, it's only going to come back to the changes that were made 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be adjustments made, particularly the 6 again rule, which just puts so much fatigue, and also the big one that I think is actually having a bigger say is the kicking out rule. I think the fact that teams can't actually dictate a rest by being able to have a great kicker that can dictate when to give their team a rest.
Yeah.
Especially in periods where they know they've just gone through like defending their line for 3 or 4 sets. If they don't have the ability to actually find themselves a break, then you see them vulnerable to fatigue.
Yeah, that's a good
Taken
point.
away strategy from the game, haven't we?
So we used to kick it dead against Melbourne, so Billy Slater couldn't return the ball
Yeah.
because there wasn't the
Same
same tackle rule.
They do it for GI when he was playing at
Yeah,
South.
yeah. There is too many rules. Too many rules.
Geez, Ren's point is so true though. Like, how far away are we? We're saying it now, but how far away are we from not getting excited about tries like that? Like, it's not far off. That's sad.
It's
That is a
crazy
sad
when you think
thought.
about it. Whereas back in the day, a try like that is highlight reel forever.
And you know what else? With the structure to the 6 again rule changes, I feel like some of the teams that we're seeing that are suffering, even with great coaches, you drop that in a preseason, how much of an adjustment can you really make?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to the point of the Tigers, which I hadn't really thought about, if that was sort of already what they're doing and it really suits Benji and whatever game plan he had, then great to see them thrive. But I don't know if we're going to see the adjustments be made anytime soon, because how can you? Like a club like the Storm.
And one thing I will say is I do really admire fitness, because it's like, I personally believe fitness is the most honest thing in rugby league, because you can't fake it. You can have the most talented player of all time, but he still has to work for fitness. Now, granted, there are some little whippets that are just naturally more fitter than others or whatever. But I'm getting a little bit worried that the game is just basically whoever is the fitter team wins. Like, for example, Penrith's dynasty, yes, obviously there is structure and there's some bloody good footy. And I think this year we've seen them play some really good footy. But it really has been based on fitness. Ball in play, low error count, squeeze the life out of them.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit worried that we're going to get to the point where we're not going to see master craftsmen with ball in hand being the best on the footy field. We're just going to see the fittest team that can hold the ball the longest. And like, I've looked back to last year. Now, granted, it was almost never happen again. But like, what did we like so much about the Broncos, even though everyone hates the Broncos, but the Broncos run last year was because we saw a bit of wizardry. We saw a bit of fucking crazy shit happening, crazy cut-out balls. And like, whereas I feel like for a long period of time, like, for example, Storm's dominance, yes, there was a lot of skill and mastery with Cam Smith, but at the same time, a lot of it was gritty, grindy, tough stuff. And then we've taken that to the new level with Penrith Panthers, where it really is. And Cleary came out and said himself, like, last year was the first time we had a team that was fitter than us. It was the Broncos. And I just get a little bit worried with all these rule changes. It really is going to just be the fittest team wins. The most disciplined and fittest team wins.
You know what? Something that really makes me think about, like, players getting rest. So in that final last year between Broncos and the Raiders, people forget Pat Carrigan, but also Reece got that 10 in the bin. So during that 10 in the bin period where Reece was out and he was just sitting on the sideline, those two teams just went at it for like another 10 minutes and were just grinding each other out. So then when Reece got his, 15, 17 minutes at back end of the game, he was still fresh.
Yeah.
He just come on and blitzed them because he was under less fatigue than the rest of the 25
Great
players out there on the field.
Yeah.
So look, I'm not saying that fitness shouldn't be a big part of it, because I'm a huge fan of it. I don't want to lose the guy that's a magician. Like, I want him to have as much impact on a game as a really fit player, you know?
Or a coach.
Yeah. Or a super
great
smart
tactics,
coach.
you know what I
great
mean? Like,
tactics, yeah.
Like that, the way Penrith play is, I'd say a lot of it, they do have great players. Like, that's no doubt.
course.
But also, Ivan's a very good coach, and the system that he's put in there has just completely suited the way the game's gone since 2020. But yeah, I like what you're saying. Like, if you can have, I don't mind the idea of being rewarded, of like having the skill to be able to give yourself a rest. For example, bringing that rule back that if you do kick it out, it goes to a scrum rather than to the play the ball, because then you actually get rewarded for having a half that can kick the ball accurately.
Or repeat sets.
Yeah,
Like, that used to be a skill that if you were good
kicking
enough, you could get it in there.
Like, even now, like, you see it, and I look at Penrith and a few teams now, no one's trying to get repeat sets in the dead ball line because everyone's going short now. So the risk is 7 tackles set if you kick it dead. And when you do get a repeat set, which is a dropout, you're not actually getting rewarded for it because these days it's like a 50-50 rate.
Yeah,
the other
pretty
team
much.
might get the ball back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, go,
no, you're right. I'm just saying, with these new rule changes, everyone needs a crafty 9 now.
Yeah.
Who play the ball. You
Very
look
true.
at Tigers, they're sitting second. Api Coruscant is one of the most
Thriving.
Obviously, Harry Grant, 2 grand finals for the
Yeah,
Melbourne Storm.
he's a crafty 9.
And,
So
and if you can have 2, that's an even better luxury. Like
Yeah.
two fresh that can interchange each other to keep each other fresh. That's
You know what it feels like? The decisions now, just hearing everyone speak, the lens is that they're trying to look at what are all the strategic advantages clubs take advantage of and just remove them. That's what it feels like.
yeah, you're right.
Problem is they'll always find a way. Like they're too smart, these coaches. They're
Yeah,
too
but
smart.
the thing is, the find a way and adapting to this current game doesn't really, it takes away all those things that we love, all the strategic decisions, seeing great gameplay. Like, that's the stuff I want to see. Even if it comes down to hits, we're losing certain types of players, which I've always enjoyed,
Like, is the big fella done in footy?
100%.
Like how many?
I mean, Payne Haas is an absolute unicorn.
Absolute unicorn. Same with Tino. But like, I feel like the big bopper, like even Luciano Leilua had to come out and said, like, last year I literally just couldn't keep up with the footy. So I had to strip all the way down, which is fine. Like, that's part of being a professional athlete. But like, Ben Takura, he's gone to NFL now. Whereas Ben Takura would have been like 10 years ago, you put him in, he is the perfect front rower. I just wonder, like, if we keep going down this route, we'll lose the big fella in the game. And that's part of like what makes league so great is that big fella that, the big hits, he's trucking like Fui Moimoi, for example. You reckon he could last in today's game?
No, I
The
played
big
with
fella?
him. No way.
Well, do you see the NFL's also bringing the flag footballs now infiltrating Australia?
Is it free or something like that across the...
They're giving like every kid, like a kit, like a whole kit.
Yep.
So
And it's an
they're
Olympic sport.
They've done it at a perfect time where the big man's starting to get taken out of a game like rugby league, and if they're not going to rugby union, then they might
So, me personally, I felt last year was great. The 40-metre line, you got to kick, like you got a penalty,
Especially
you
in
got to kick.
comparison to now, bro.
Whereas I just think to the 20-metre line, they've gone too far. And also, they've become far too happy just to go 6 again, 6 again, 6 again. And I just don't agree with the whole I just think that with the whole kickoff rule, and I've said this a while ago, but like, let's say Penrith score against you and you go, all right, we'll choose to receive. That forward pack's going to go, fucking oath. We're fresh. We're going to bash the fuck out of them. You know what's more demoralising with not being able to get at it, like with having to defend a set? Getting kept in your own 20 and having to kick out of your own 20. That's more demoralising than getting rolled 40 metres.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding this idea that just because you have the ball in hand, that's a guarantee that you win momentum back. Like you get momentum with defence all the time with line speed. So I don't know. I just think the kickoff rule, what will happen is we'll change that. And then we'll have to change something else, and then something else, and we'll just keep chasing our
You
tail.
nailed it, bro. It's a simple equation. Whenever we think about a rule change, just ask yourself, am I implementing this to fix a rule change that has been brought in?
That's what
So,
I
and if
reckon.
that's the answer, then I think it needs to be avoided.
Last year, I felt we were in a really, really good space. Speaking of crafty number 9s, boys, the Blues. It's actually not that far away from, I guess, Origin. What is it? Would it be like 6-7 weeks now?
Yeah.
Like it's
Did you do that
Yeah.
on purpose?
Oh, sorry, 6-7 weeks now. Well, we're in round 7.
Yeah.
We're in round 7, so it's not that far away. So Bulldog Richie's reported that Daly will have 2 hookers in Origin on the 19-man squad, which is, you probably could have expected that. Anasta has suggested Api Coruscant last night on NRL 360. Boys, the Blues hooker. What are we doing? Where are we going? What do you reckon?
I like the Api call because of the rule change, and Origin's different, right? So if you can get a quick play the ball, you're flooding the middle. The problem with Api is that sometimes he's too crafty, and the players around him coming onto the ball need to have had a preseason in Clubland to be able to know his timing, and so you bring him into Origin. I worry that maybe he's just too good at hooker and too crafty that players might overrun the ball.
It's been a while, Ren, but is it an advantage that he's played with at Penrith?
Well,
Do you think-
funny you say that because they allowed him to go to Tigers because they felt so initially when they brought Appy to the club, it was because they felt that Nathan and Jerome Luai weren't ready to lead a team around. And as soon as they felt that Cleary was ready to lead a team around, that's when they allowed Appy to leave because they wanted Cleary to be the dominant man. And that's why a guy like Mitch Kenny is the 9 there. Not because like just not having a crack at him, but he's
that's
just
the role they want the 9 to play. Yeah.
tackle his absolute
get it.
backside off. And so that's like to your point, Reni. I just wonder like if you've got to go all in on one guy in that spine. I'm not a big believer in like, oh yeah, let's share the load and like it's either Cleary's team or it's Moses' team or it's Appy's team. But if Appy's there, like, are you better off getting a guy that's probably a better defender than Appy potentially?
Too many playmakers.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I like the old Penrith Grand Final rule they did a few years back, where either a Reece Robson or a Mitch Kenny starts the game, plays the first 15, 20, and then you can implement Appy when everyone starts getting fatigued. Yeah, I like that.
Worked for Queensland.
Yeah, it's worked for Queensland in the past. I like and that crafty hooker comes on when they're going to be at their best, and that's when you got defenders that are not going to do their marker work as good, or get back to A as quickly as possible, or not do their job, which is going to be in the back end 25 of the first or second half, because that's when fatigue comes
And the
in.
directive is basically for this 20 minutes, it's your call. Do what you want to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, run amok.
And I think, like, obviously, like, Nathan's probably the favourite to play 7, right? If a Nathan overcalls him, well, Nathan overcalls you. That's his like, you know, that's his role. And it's like any hooker, really. Like any hooker, if you have a halfback that's calling for the ball, you give him the ball. Like that, even a young guy like Lockie Galvin, like if you're a hooker and they're a young half and he's calling for an opportunity, you give him the ball. The only person that could probably not do that was probably Cameron Smith, who literally would cruise to the play the ball and would look at every option across the field before he even got there. He was that cruisy.
Well, he dictated it in reality. Do you reckon Appy respects Nathan more now, and there is that kind of better dynamic in terms of power?
Probably,
That's fair.
Probably.
I think that if you were to bring Appy on in that 25 minute mark, I think that there'd have to be some kind of understanding that the flow's going to change. Like as in like
You're bringing him on for a reason.
Yeah, like so Cleary is aware. Okay, the rhythm's going to be different here. Like it's
fast.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same as it was. Because I think if you send him out there and it's unsure as to like what the game plan is when he's on the field, that's when you're going to start seeing him jump out, look around, no one's with him. Oh fuck, I've gone the wrong way here. So I think.
Let me ask you, this can't be in Origin. We've traditionally seen in the past just the penalty slow down a little bit. Yeah. Now I'm not saying that's going to happen, but does the 6 again slow down a little bit in Origin?
I hope so. Jesus
Yes or no?
Christ.
It always changes.
Be too fast.
I mean, I hope it does.
Oh man,
You've got to have that
hope it does.
lenience for Origin.
We haven't mentioned anyone, this bloke, but what about Blake Brayley? Now, that's reported he was up there equal with Reece Robson. He's a bit of a mixture of both. Really good defender, but can be crafty around the ruck. He got obviously 3 try assists on the weekend against the Roosters. Blake Brayley, who's your starting? Who's your starting hooker, and who's your guy coming off the bench at this point?
Right now, Reece Robson hasn't played enough footy for me, so I'd look at Mitch Kenny and then Appy 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Mitch Kenny. Great call.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd probably go Reece and Blake. Reece and Blake, I reckon. Potentially Blake starting and have like someone that can, if he can get through 80, it helps the bench a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I think Blake's done enough form-wise for New South Wales. I don't mind the Mitch Kenny shout just because, like, if it's going to be Cleary's team, you know that they work together well. Like, you know that all those little milliseconds that you miss in Origin by not having that combination, and it's actually what made Queensland so great for the 8 in a row, is Cam Smith knew what Cooper Cronk needed.
Yes.
Yeah, great call.
And also Thurston, they'd played so much footy together, he knew what he wanted as well. So, like, those little and that's what, like, Origin is milliseconds, literal milliseconds. And so, like, I actually don't mind the idea of Kenny being there because you know Cleary. Like, I know people get frustrated with this because, like, the Penrith system has been tried so many times. The problem is like, you know, Mitch Moses has had a pretty quiet start to the season. So it's like he's not like he's putting his hand up going, I'm fucking killing it. Eels are struggling a little bit. The Sharkies have been okay. You know, no one else is really jumping out right now to go, this is the system that we have to go
It
with.
aligns with the strategy as well, though. Like, Kenny and Cleary control the game in terms of service and Cleary just being the main man. And then Coruscant and an impact player come on and everyone just plays fast and runs amok.
Like if you got Appy coming off, I also feel like you have to have like that bench has to sort of be like the 2 middle forwards that are going to come on after 25 have to sort of be designed for that. You know, like there are certain players that are like they can hit holes really well. They're strong defenders. They have lots of leg speed. I reckon they're the type of players that will suit Appy, you know, with that last 15 minutes of that first half.
Jade Sewer and the Dragon situation. So we'll just sit in the Dragons. The Sewer's been reported. It's been reported Sewer is off to the Eels for 3 years on agenda setters. Luke Keary said Sewer is moving from one train wreck to another. He's not going to help them at the moment and questioned the Eels' attitude after the Titans put 50 on them. What do we think, boys, about the signing of Sewer to the Eels? I will say I don't think the Eels are in anywhere near the situation the Dragons are. I thought that was a little bit harsh. Like they're having a bit of a weird start to the season, but I don't think they're where the Dragons are.
They're definitely the Dragons are an absolute train wreck. So I'd love to see him go there and sort of help build Parramatta. And Jason Riles is a great coach. It's no surprise to me that he wants to go to Parramatta.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
the Eels are decimated at the moment as well.
Yeah. What have they got? Like 2 ACLs?
Yeah, they've had some
heap of
bad.
starting players
out.
Calling them a train wreck's pretty harsh. But obviously, what's going on at the Dragons there has been a disaster this year. You actually feel for the club because obviously what's going on. But but Eels have got a fair few excuses. I think they're already dipping out of their top 30 for this week's team.
Yeah,
so that's a squad that's struggling to do with injury. So.
And Jaden Stewart's a quality player. I mean, Eels need to start making moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like it.
What's Mitch Moses at? What's his age? Is he he's in his 30s, right?
I think he's 30.
Yeah, right.
Is he?
So-
Yeah, I think he's 30. You know what? Can you check that for me, please?
Yeah, he would be early 30s. He's my brother's age. Yeah.
31. Okay. I like it as a signing. I think it's what they need. I think Sewer's been one of Dragons' better players the last couple of years. Yes, doesn't mean Taulungi's probably going to, at the very least, move to the bench or Katonga, whichever one. Look, I think Sewer has played Origin. He's probably a level above those players at the moment, so I can understand it. But in regards, let's go deep in the Dragon situation because it's a lot. There's a lot going on, guys. Okay, so the Dragons, Loko Pacifica Tonga, requested a release. The Dragons have denied it. His manager sent an email to the Sydney Morning Herald claiming the situation is untenable now that Shane Flanagan said the other day that there are no better options in New South Wales Cup. It's obviously he strongly wants out of the club. They're also going after Drinkwater as well. Okay, so some of the letter said this. While I note your written assurances that the Dragons hold Loco in high regard, and see a genuine pathway for him, the reality of the situation at the club directly contradicts these sentiments. Words mean very little when they are not supported by action. Furthermore, your assertion that he has a genuine pathway is entirely undermined by the public comments made by your head coach following the team's recent loss. Shane Flanagan publicly stated regarding squad changes, if I had someone that was better out of the side, I would put them in. Trust me. You cannot tell us privately that he's a valued part of your future, while the head coach states publicly that he has no better options to call upon. The contradiction is glaring and is entirely unfair to expect a 20-year-old player of Loco's calibre to languish in an environment where his pathway is so clearly blocked. Our position has not changed. The current situation is untenable and detrimental to Loco's career. We are formally reiterating our demand for immediate permission for Loco to speak and negotiate from other NRL clubs. Whoa.
Bro.
This is actually when Shane Flanagan had that press conference, I had quite a few issues with it, saying things like, pretty much implying we hadn't won the last few games because our outside men weren't finishing tries. There was a lot of, the team and me instead of we need to get through this. Obviously the comments earlier this year about they can't win a comp. I just think when your coach is in that situation, any separation from the playing group doesn't look great, in my opinion. Especially when you say stuff like, if I could bring someone else in, there's no one better. Like, how does that help some young guy's confidence when he's hearing that coming through the grades? And also, if you're an outside back at the moment and you hear him basically blame the last few losses on you, on top of all that, he also said, we just didn't have the class. I guess Tommy Turbo was the difference. It's far out, bro. If you're a player at that club, I get it. You're losing a lot, but it's he would never sit there and say, I just don't have the class as a coach. So why are you saying it about your playing group?
The reserve grade won 52-0 as well.
And
So what's happening now, right, with keeping Shane there? And I don't like to talk about coaches losing their job.
It sucks.
It is so untenable, right, that he is ruining the recruitment for the next coach coming in with this kid wanting to leave.
Yeah. Sewer also not taking up an option.
So the Dragons that are making these decisions have got to see this and go, mate, look, it's time to go. Rip the Band-Aid off. You're going to have more quality players in pathways that want to leave.
Yeah, I've backflipped on what I said 2 weeks ago, bro, to be honest. I was kind of backing Flanagan, thinking that he did have the playing group, but these comments are just so detrimental. You know what I mean? Not only publicly, which is outrageous, even, you know, he started the year saying the club's not going to be successful this year, but the effect that this has on the playing group. And look at the manager, look at this young kid. What else is he supposed to think when you make comments like this? And I think about last year, the way, you know, Benji handled some situations among his team, completely different, contrast difference. And, you know, he's won the playing group because he's got their back and, you know, he's clearly backing the club and this is what they stand for. So I think at this point, regardless, I'm not even thinking about how the Dragons are going, who they should bring in, what changes. I just think there's not really any positives for the future with Flanagan here. And I think it's getting worse, bro.
Imagine if a player came out and said, we didn't win the last 3 games because the coach tactics weren't good. Like,
done.
And look, I understand there's different power dynamics, but I'm not understanding throwing blokes under the bus saying we don't have the class in that, because like, it doesn't, you're separating yourself from the playing group and basically saying, well, the reason why we're losing, it's not because of me as a coach, it's because of the playing group. I just don't understand it. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, you feel for the fans. Like when your club's sort of tearing itself apart like that, and you got managers coming out and saying this about like with players, and you know that situation. Like I agree with Ren. Like it's looking like it's pretty untenable at the moment. Like that there's going to have to be a decision made soon, because it's only you know 2 weeks ago you think how's it going to get worse? Well, in 2 weeks it's gotten worse.
Yeah,
and
It's getting.
I'm afraid. You know, you're afraid from a fan's perspective. You're afraid to think what they could look like in another 2 weeks if they just keep staying on the same path. So, there's got to be some decisions made there.
My understanding, so he had a great preseason. He got injured. Then he's played 3 games. Can you check, please? But I think he's played 3 games in New South Wales Cup since returning. He's averaging 180 metres. On the weekend, he ran for 250 metres, something like that. He played 10 NRL games last year. So we're not even talking about a guy that hasn't played first grade yet. You know, so like that's what I'm not getting. Let's say they'd won 1 game and they'd lost 3 or 4. You'd go, okay, I can kind of see why he's going to stick with experience. But, like, they are 0-6. So it's like, if you're a front rower there right now, you're a 20-year-old, you've played 3 really good games, your team's just put 50 on another team in reserve grade. On top of, he's not the first player to come out and say this. 2 other players whether you rate Ilias or you rate Glover or not, they still have the same they're still saying the same things that Locko's saying, which is, I feel like I've got no pathway forward. Yeah, like it's just almost like word for word. At some point, you have to say there's clearly a lack of communication between the head coaching staff and these young guys coming through. There has what do you got there, Matty? He ran 250 metres last week. But did he play the week before as well? Just going through it now. But yeah, 250 metres is like surely you get put straight into a side that's 0-6 if you're one of the 250 metres.
These are the consequences for these unhinged public comments.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
What do you think the outcome is going to be?
Not only you look at his selections, like Jacob Little not getting on till the second half
so badly.
Like I love Cookie, but mate, Little's your best night at this point.
Yeah, and he comes on, he kills it. He kills it.
Yeah, you're right, Matty. He ran 250 metres. Holy moly! Yeah, right.
I'd get it if they had they were going through a little bit of a rough patch, but they haven't won a game. Surely, and also what I think as well. Usually, as a coach, you know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Shane Flanagan has been speaking to him every day, just like, mate, this is the plan, this is what's going on. But it seems to me like he's not getting any communication.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah, and
sure.
I'd be willing to say that that's not the truth, because you would know if you were doing that. That speaks volumes, and you would know that you can't publicly come out and say this.
Yeah, because
in this situation, I actually feel like it's gotten to him just as much as it's getting to everyone else. And I feel like he's probably lost his head a little bit at this point, because
there'll be so much pressure. And he's just like, he's played round 1, round 2, and then he's played round 5. So it's like, that's still enough to, and also I think a lot of this as well, if he was being communicated with constantly, even if he's not getting a start in first grade, I don't think this happens. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if he's not getting selected, I don't think that it would get to this point if he knew exactly where he stood. To what you're saying, how could you come out and say all this if your coach was constantly talking to you?
The form doesn't matter, bro. You can't come out in the Dragon situation and publicly make comments like this. Like, tell me any positive that comes from that. Yes. You're not revving up the boys.
No.
So it's kind of like, look, he's already played 10 NRL games last year. He played round 1, round 2, he played round 5, absolutely blitzed it. Surely you bring him onto the bench with where they're at right now as a club. Surely.
Or just don't.
Or at the very least communicate so much that he's like, If he communicated with him like that, the Dragons could easily come out and say, I'm not sure where this is coming from. We speak to Locko constantly and we give him feedback on this date, on this date, on this date. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't.
Yeah. The season's essentially done, right? And I think you could appease the fans a little bit by just giving these kids a crack. Like you see how much, JC will say stuff on the team selections. Give kids a run. If they lose, at least the Dragons supporters know that they gave that kid a chance and he probably wasn't up to standard.
Yeah.
And you're building for next year. You know, you're giving them experience. But he's just so stubborn with his selection.
We spoke about round 10 being the milestone. It's
come in.
It's
come
creeping
in.
up.
Just with some of the stuff that's been said, like it looks like that place is ready to implode. Like,
the Dean Young scenario, kind of echoing, Manly and what's happened the last few weeks. At this point, it's a move that, like, you bring in a club legend, the fans kind of are like, okay, there's some things being done. Again, it sucks to think about Flanagan not being there for the future, but at this point, with the comments made and where the club's at, I feel like it's coming.
Do you think they're starting to try and think of someone to replace? Because I'm trying to think, do they replace? Is it
I
Dean
don't
Young
think you
for
replace
next year?
mid-season, bro. I don't think you replace your long-term coach.
I agree with that. I reckon 100%. If you're bringing a coach in, they have to have their own preseason. They have to start again, reset in November.
Yeah.
But in terms of like who takes over, like the only names I've heard of taking over that job is either Dean Young or Ben Hornby, who's at South Sydney.
Yeah. I reckon Dean Young would be a great interim coach and then potentially a coach.
Yeah.
I think he'd be the perfect man. I really do. He was up at the Cowboys in 2022 as their defensive coach when they had one of the best defenses in the comp. But yeah, look, I think they just need to rip the Band-Aid off, go all in with the youth. But I don't think everyone should be rushed. Okay, now Luke Keary came out last week, I think, on the bye round. And he said, quote, they could field the whole team of local juniors. Everyone's saying if you throw them in the deep end, you'll ruin their career. I can't cop that. You throw them in and they'll learn lessons. If you're mentally tough enough and you're meant to be a first grader, you'll get through it. I'd love to get your thoughts on that, boys. I personally disagree. I do think it matters when you give a guy a debut. I do think that being really delicate with someone's first 5 years in first grade does actually help their career long term. I think that Wayne Bennett's been really good at this. Craig Bellamy's been really good at this. Do you agree with Keary in the sense that, like, listen, if you're good enough, put you in, doesn't matter what your age is?
I think there's a happy medium point. I agree with what you're saying, and I think in the wrong situation, someone could come in. I believe if you come into a successful team and you have a poor game, geez, you feel like you're on the out, and it's fucking embarrassing. But if you're coming into a situation like this and it's known that the club is going to be blooding juniors to see how they perform, give them a shot, give them experience, and it's communicated that way, I feel like it's a positive move.
Well, okay, I'll give you an example. Dearden at the Broncos. The place was a fucking schmozzle.
And he was young too.
He was young. He was 18, 19.
Young, yeah.
But he was the next big thing. He was the next big thing. The club had put, all this faith in him. Everyone's heard the interviews. By the time he basically didn't win a game, by the time he went up to Newcastle, Peyton says, like, he was shot. Confidence, gone. And it's like, how much now would have the Broncos like to have taken that first year or two back and been more patient with him and put him into a side that was far more established instead of relying on him to drag them out as an 18-year-old?
Yeah. I could see your argument around halves.
Yeah.
Right? Even with the Ash Taylor thing, he got in. He was the next big thing.
So many halves it's happened to be honest.
His
I think
career.
outside backs are pretty different.
Yeah, and
outside backs are
forwards
different.
too.
Yeah.
Forwards as well.
Mate,
Forwards take longer anyway. Forwards aren't in their prime until they're in their mid to late 20s anyway. I do think that in this case, Luke's probably right. Like a Tommy Dearden example is probably right in what Luke's saying. I think he debuted too young, but I think someone like Tommy Dearden was just so mentally tough that he's been able to overcome that. But I do think that there's a lot of players out there that if you do bring them in, it will, there's the old saying, the longer it takes you to get to first grade, the longer you'll stay in first grade. And I think that that old-timey rule is...
Look at the Storm, how well they do it. They're so patient.
I agree with spine players though, Kempy. I agree with you on spine players. Yeah. Everything else, I think there's some middle ground to be played there. And you can actually manage their expectations and their time on field.
Yeah. But so that goes to the next point. Is a young fella, Reed, at the club. Some Dragons fans say bring him in. Some Dragons fans say don't. I personally would be patient with Reed. I think that I think it's Cade Reed, his full name. I just think that right now you throw him in whilst they're losing. If they keep losing, it's going to be very hard for him to build confidence. And like, yes, did eventually overcome his confidence. But even when he arrived at the Cowboys, it still took ages for Peyton to build him back up. Imagine if he had been brought into a Broncos side that was much more stable, the Broncos probably could have kept him, been there long term. And I think with Reid, I'd rather bring him in. Let's say they have a couple of wins or at least a couple of good games, then maybe bring him in and be like, see how he goes. But bringing him into a team that's 0-6, I just don't know if...
He's only played 5 New South Wales Cup games ever.
Yeah.
And he's got a pretty good...
Super soon.
He's got a good win record, but if he comes in next week, plays okay, they still lose, and then plays the following week, they lose again, plays a third game, they lose again. Suddenly, like, the media these days pretty ruthless. Suddenly the spotlight will be put on him, regardless if he deserves it or not.
All that stuff.
In his position, in this circumstance, I think you need to protect the future in some respects. And he's a great example in his position.
So was I talking to you guys about the slow burn theory, the All Blacks? No. So they always had a succession plan for their number 10s. So they'd have one on the bench and they would play the succession player 10 minutes at the end of maybe a test match.
Okay.
Given the circumstances and if they were winning. So by the time, just say Dan Carter retired, this guy had already played 30 tests, right? So he understood the game. So I would use that theory with Cade Reid. Even if they're losing, just give him the last 10 minutes. Let him sort of...
I don't mind that, yeah.
Even if they're under the pump, he's out there, he gets a feel for the game.
More control of the whole thing.
I like 10, 15
and you'd be able to tell if he's up to it, really. And then if he is, you give him more minutes. If he's not, you just pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. So, I really love that All Black slow burn theory. They always had a succession plan for their key position.
Yeah, I don't
Even
mind
for someone like him, Ren, training with the side, getting prepared for a first grade game, all of those things. For a guy who's played 5 New South Wales Cups game and is young, remember when we all did that? Like, mate, that's the biggest thing in the world. So even just to go through that and normalise that a little bit, that would do wonders for when your time and opportunity comes.
Yeah. Even just the feeling of sitting in the locker room with first graders is...
Bro, at that point, it's fucking massive.
Oh, mate, your first 2 pre-seasons, the amount of nerves that go through your gut before every session, you're like...
You're 18th man at that top point. It feels like your grand final.
Okay, boys, don't forget, this is all proudly brought to you by Aspley Mazda. If you need a car, give Lukey a message, LDC_01, the best in the biz. Okay, I mentioned, now I don't want to change any rules, guys. I don't want to change any rules, but this is just hypothetical maybe down the line. I've not been a fan of Golden Point. I don't know why in rugby league, and maybe it's because I didn't play growing up, like why the best games, because the best games are the ones that go to Golden Point, they're decided by something that we never do in game. Like we never do drop goals in game. And so I've always been a big fan of Golden Try. Now, like, do you drop off? To make sure the try actually happens? I'm not sure. Boys, I'd love to get your thoughts. Are you a fan of Golden Point, Golden Try, other ways? Are you happy with just a draw? Do you think we should settle for draws? What are your thoughts?
Fuck no with a draw. But Golden Try certainly makes sense with the current rule set, doesn't it? There'd probably be tries. I mean, if I think about Golden Point, we think about soccer going over overtime. Penalty shootout is gangster. That is something I want to watch. A drop goal shootout randomly at points in that time frame is not something that I deem as entertaining. So I 100% think it would be a good move.
Yeah, I like the field goal.
You like the field goal?
I'm happy with it.
Okay.
It's a craft, you know. Like I like seeing it build to a point where they're getting down towards a 40 and then you're thinking, are they going to go for it?
Yep.
Or are they going to risk the 7 tackles? So, yeah, I'd leave it. I like the drop goal.
It's all I've ever known. So it's a bit like, all you know is the field goal. Like I know like Wayne hates it and people are getting a bit stale on it, but it's like, it's one of those things like if we did do the Golden Try, and I heard you say the other day, Kemper, you're talking about we get to a stage then after a certain amount of minutes, then you start pulling people off the field.
Or even if you drop off immediately.
Yeah, well,
Come back on with 9 each.
Who comes on? Who comes off the field? Is it your 2 middle forwards?
Well, you select it. You select.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So like the coach selects the people that come off.
That's tactical. That's very tactical. Yeah, it's hard. For me, I've got no real issue with the field goal. I do think it's very dramatic and it has its and people and the coaches that like suffer from it because they lose.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Right? It sucks. Like it's like losing. 100%. And to be dictated like that, you feel cheated almost. I can understand that, but from a fan perspective, I still enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah, Kemper, is there a way to make it exciting to the point where like, okay, so in a Golden Point opportunity, yes, they're still trying to score, but everything's geared towards setting up for a field goal. Is there a way that we just see kind of everything unleashed, and it's like people are just gunning for tries.
Imagine,
Like, what
okay.
is that scenario?
Imagine there's 10 extra minutes, maybe 5 each side, and it's 9 a side. Imagine how on the edge of your seat you'd be. People
But don't you reckon
offloading-
the try would just...
Sorry?
the try would just happen?
Like you could change it. So you could say it's not golden try, it's just 10 extra minutes, 9 a side, 9v9. Goes to 9 a side.
What if there's a difference?
Fatigue would fucking kill you. Fatigue would kill you.
Yeah, that would. What if there's a difference? What if field goal win, you get your 2 points, but if you win in golden point with a try, you win with a golden try, you get an extra competition point.
Oh,
You get
shit.
3 instead of
See,
6.
that's what I'm talking about. See, what that does is that forces you to go all in for that try. That's what it just needs that one extra little detail.
If you're a team like sitting there like last round of the year and you're fighting for a minor
Could
premiership.
you imagine? Fucking
Or what
hell.
about even if you get the golden point, you get a competition point, and then the golden try is just the two
What if
points.
it's two teams that are looking to try and like crack into the 8, and one of them like you need 3,
You
and
have
everyone's
to
like,
go for the try.
If there's a way to
Like
get
that.
3 competition points instead of 2, there's a possibility that you could have teams, that last round of the year fighting for the get into the 8, and some teams sitting there with their what in their hands going.
Back in mind, we've solved the world's
We've
problems.
sold it. We've sold
That'd
it.
be cool.
We just talked about how we don't want to change any rules, and now we're going to change about.
I know
four.
we've completely contradicted ourselves.
Complete overhaul.
Corey Pakes ruled out the Broncos clash. Bukowski, firming for debut. I mean, you probably haven't seen much of Bukowski. Where are the Broncos at, boys? Tell me where the Broncos at. What do you reckon?
Just injuries at the moment. I think injuries are starting to hurt
Key
them.
positions
Yep.
too. Two halves, your fullback.
Breno's back, which is good, but yeah, Breno
he's
was
back,
out last
Breno?
week. Fullback's gone.
Yeah, it's more so, like what Ren just like key positions. Like it's
Yep.
weird. Like I think their forward pack's relatively untouched at the moment, but
Yes.
yeah, just like the spine players. And the weird thing is they've got good depth there. They've got Ben Hunter's coverage, and they've had Mosier played last week, and they got all this depth, but they're all injured.
All injured, yeah.
So-
Mose goes down, Pace has gone down.
I'm not like worried about the Broncos, but I'm mindful of the run into Origin and positioning themselves at a certain point in the ladder.
Alrighty, time for the round preview. Proudly brought to you by KO. The Cowboys versus Manly. Are we Cowboy believers, boys? Are we Cowboy
I am
believers?
now, yeah. I
Wow.
wasn't.
Wow.
I thought that was a bit of after the Storm win, I was
Yep.
thinking maybe, but the way they've been pretty consistent the last few weeks, I think I'm a believer.
I'm a believer
You're a
as
Justin
well.
believer?
Yeah, I'm going Cows this week. I love their back five. Their carries out of yardage, and Drinky being able to link with Purdue and even like Braden Burns. This is the best sort of start to a season I've ever seen.
100%.
Yeah.
He's having like a lot of carries, taking pressure off their forwards. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from the back five, especially getting out of yardage. And if you've got the confidence to get it to Purdue, and you've got like more of an unstructured defensive line coming down, that's where like Purdue scored 2 tries from kick returns.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the Cowboys moving Drinkwater on to accommodate Purdue at fullback? Or do you think it's a little bit too early?
A little bit too early, maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's a bad. Like I feel like it's a bit early. Like you don't know. He's not a sure thing yet. As good as he's playing.
Yeah.
And Drinky's a pretty classy player.
Young.
And he's won some.
Absolutely.
Like he's helped them win some finals games before. It's not like
Yeah.
he's untested in the finals series.
Yep.
But I like what Ren just said then. Their yardage stuff. Their first 2 rounds, it was. I reckon I was watching it. Like it was pretty. Like I remember we were doing an episode of Backstage, and the old man said that he basically looked at them, especially in Vegas, from up there at Allegiant, and it was like their back five. You could throw a blanket over them. They were all that tight together. Now they're playing a bit more expansive. They're punching holes in them. They're able to, counter punch out of the backfield. They're a much dangerous side when they do that.
Especially with that speed. So if you're in a kick chase, and you've got Purdue, you've got Chester, these guys standing a little bit wider. So there's more opportunity, right? You've got to spread out more. So I'm loving what their back five are doing.
I also think there was a real critical period there where Cowboys weren't doing so well. Drinky was injured, and everyone was very judgmental. In the last couple of weeks, has been a pretty strong difference. I think it's going to be a good little measuring stick for Manly as well, just to see how the hype carries on, going up to Queensland and seeing how they perform against the Cowboys that are in form.
See, I'm going Manly for the upset.
Hey, I love that.
listen,
Good on ya.
I just think, I really enjoyed last week's game, and there were periods where the Cowboys looked phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. But we have to remember, Broncos were missing like so many players, and they had so many injuries. Like by the time like Rogers came on and was playing 9, and I don't know, I just think the Cowboys have 1-4 on the trot. Like there might be a bit of an ambush going on here. So listen, maybe it's a famous last words, but Manly, they're playing free. I felt like they put the cue in the rack against the Dragons. They knew they'd won it pretty much after the first 20. We'll go Manly for a bit of an upset.
Nice.
Wow.
Manly for a bit of an upset. Okay, Raiders v the Storm. I mean, I'll just go off the bat. I think Raiders make it 5. I can't believe they're outsiders. It's a home game for the Raiders. I think the Storm will be 5 on the trot. I think that they aren't getting enough. The Storm aren't getting enough slack for the fact that they are missing quite a few players. And there's a lot of rookies coming through. However, I've never seen the Storm look so lost for answers as they looked on the weekend, ever.
I'm gonna stick strong,
Okay.
and I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, but it's just so hard to fathom that the Storm go to Canberra and don't rock up again. Is it going to be an easy game? Definitely not. And the Canberra Raider young guns, they were impressive in that last game to get away with it. But yeah, I have to back the Storm that they're just going to react and respond somehow.
I'm going to go Raiders. I just watching their edge defence, Melbourne, and just the lack of confidence and cohesion, even with that spine. And I even feel like Jerome and Money are down a bit at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
Mate, that Howarth try they lit in where he came screaming across 2 players. I've never seen a Storm player do that.
Never.
And I'm a huge fan of Howarth, and it happens to the best of us. We've all had some terrible reads, but that shows you how rattled they are for confidence on the edge, that he feels he needs to solve that. Like, he came screaming across 2 people for no
He
reason.
went across 2 lanes.
But if you don't think he's on notice,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Raiders myself. I think I think they've been a bogey side for Melbourne for the last since 2018, just about. They're one of those sides they can get a win out of Melbourne. But the big one that's worrying for me is they've had a 6-day turnaround. So I think they played Saturday last week. So they've got 6 days, which means they're limited this week on the amount of real sessions they can do. And what Ren Sandor was saying there, talking about the edge defense there, like Jack Howarth, for example, those sort of the edge defense to fix that, it almost to fix your defense in a structural way like that, they almost need a bye coming their way soon to give them 2 weeks to really lock in on that.
Did McCaw play last week?
No.
He's back in the side.
First game this year.
So he's dropped Tamale.
No, Tamale, apparently,
himself.
according to Stick, he came to Ricky Stewart and said, I'm struggling with confidence. I want to be dropped.
Did you see that try he scored last week where he pulled up?
I don't know what happened there. It's a brain explosion.
Has
to be. Only thing I can think of is he thought, I'm going to step inside Cody Walker to get close to the post. And then for some reason was like, oh, shit, I'm actually not going to. It's the strangest thing ever.
Was.
So strange. But yeah, apparently he said to Stick, and apparently Sticky was like, no, I want you in. But Marlo was like, no, I need to build some confidence back up in reserve.
Do you believe that?
Look, I personally find it a little bit hard to believe, but I guess he said it, so I can't say it's not true.
Yeah, you might not get your opportunity back for a while. If they come out this weekend and
risky business,
hold back 5, kill it, it's very...
Well, even so, apparently, when Ricky pulled Tamale off, it looked like he was giving him a spray, but by all reports, apparently he was just revving him up, as in giving him a positive chat.
How good is Simi Sasangi?
Gun.
I checked his...
My God.
I was hoping that he was here before he was 13, because he'd be in the Blues for sure as a 14.
Mate,
he moved here when he was 16, but yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Great kid too. I've roomed with him 4 or 5 times when we were up in Newcastle together. He's a great kid.
But see, Canberra weren't that great last week either.
So they're still hunting for a good game. That's why they're going to play well.
They nearly got run down.
Yeah.
This might be the one.
Okay, next game, Dolphins v the Panthers. I unfortunately think the Dolphins are going to get absolutely smacked on the bottom.
I was going to say the opposite there.
Oh, really? No, mate. The Dolphins have been super underwhelming this year, and the Panthers are going to be fuming after that loss last week.
They're going to be red hot.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I don't know where the Dolphins are at. It's very hard to tell, because they got great depth, but...
On paper, they should be doing much better than what they're doing.
Much better.
So Dogs were $5.80 last week.
Yep.
Dolphins are $4.90. They should be $8.
Sure, 100%. I'm
You
with
know
you.
what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sorry, Dolphins fans, but yeah, I'd hate to be playing the Panthers this week. But I tell you what, the Dogs showed a blueprint. I just don't know the whole blueprint.
You gave him the blueprint.
I gave him the blueprint,
Okay,
but I just don't think Dolphins have the squad to be able to hold that kind of line speed and aggression in their defence for 80 minutes.
Well, if they try and come out and be hyper aggressive, the Panthers, that's their bread and butter. They'll just go, yeah, sweet, we'll just grind you out of the game. Eventually you'll fatigue and we'll score a bunch of points at the end of the game.
Do you think Penrith's great start to the year, which has been otherworldly, has actually worked against them now? Because, you come into a season, the team to beat this year now has been the Broncos. They won the competition last year, so every week, every team's, playing the Broncos. The Broncos have sort of started on and off to start the year, and the Penrith started so red hot that it's like every team's just gone, forget about the premiers of last year. The team to beat this year's Penrith, and suddenly Penrith are getting every team. You'll see it going into the Origin period. I reckon every team's going to go into Penrith like they're playing the premiers every week.
It's like a grand final, really.
Yeah, it is a hard thing to deal with, but they did it pretty well for.
You still think Penrith can beat Queensland?
Yeah, that aged well, didn't
1 out of 3.
I took ownership straight away on that. Jesus. That was one
I
of
was
the,
with you. I was with you.
That was
Thank
one
you.
of the great slap in the face.
Yeah, it's the footy guys getting you. It's a turkey slap from the
But
Queensland
on the
Spirit.
other side of that,
Turkey slap.
Johnsy, it's probably not bad timing to lose to the Dogs like that.
Yeah.
It certainly gives you a kick up the backside and a bit of a reality check.
For sure.
Okay, the Warriors, Titans. I've got to be honest. They played so good last week. I'm worried that you're going to have a hangover from the week before. Look, I'm still head to head. I'm still going the Warriors. This is for the Warriors. If they don't play well this week, at least 8 out of 10. Last week means nothing, literally nothing. It's just a flash in the pan. So the Warriors need to come out. It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 like it was last week. It needs to be an 8 out of 10. If they come out and play all busted and a bunch of errors, I'm going to go Warriors head to head, but I'm a little bit worried there'll be a hangover from such a massive high last week.
The only reason I'm less worried about the hangover is they go back into home turf, and I'm just they're at the top of the table for me in terms of energy and cohesion. The way they're playing, I'm loving watching the Warriors play.
It's funny how you bring in Harris Taviti, bring him back, and the rhythm and the flow of the team just clicked again. And that's no diss on Metcalf, but Webster's got a decision to make now.
I think he has to go Harris Tavita.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
So do I.
You guys would all know this better than me, but sometimes it's not about who's the better player. It's about who fits the team better, who fits the system, who fits the combination.
That current situation,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So it's even the same situation with Jock Madden and Lua. We'll get to in a minute. I mean, Jock Madden is suiting that style of play where he's getting so square and deep into the line. It's suiting the Tigers' play. Where Jerome tends to creep across the field a little bit, but you don't leave him out. But
That's the issue with the problem with Metcalf having a long-term injury like an ACL. The issue with that is all the reps in preseason, he got none.
Yep.
So you can, and it's so hard for him because that means Tanner Boyd and Harris Tavita, they would have done
Building
from
the
November
combinations.
5 months of training together, and that's where you're talking about the system that he suits the system. Probably because of the fact that he got all the reps, all the forwards, but it's all little details too, like timing off the hooker. Wade Egan would have known exactly what kind of pass to throw both those halves over the course of 5 months. It'll just take time for Metcalf. And it's hard because they've been going so well without him, but he's a great player. Everyone knows he's a great player. From what he did last year, it'll just take time for him, I think.
That's why I just think they should have brought him back through New South Wales Cup. And I know some people would feel like, oh, that's disrespectful. He's their best 7 or best half or whatever. But it's actually not. It's actually better for him to build confidence into the season rather than throw him in the deep end. Because there's no obviously he's a professional, but his confidence has got to be a little bit rattled. The 2 performances he had were pretty poor. And even you could tell little things on his own try line, he was going for intercepts instead of tackling the player, hitting the unders
It's
line.
not just any injury he come back from.
ACL,
Yeah, he just needs a game. I feel like he's just going to have to battle it out for it. He just needs a game where it's all going to click, and it will happen. But the problem is that they're playing so good without him at the moment, so he just
The
can't
first
get
time in a long time, it's a good problem for the Warriors to have.
Absolutely.
Look, he's on a long-term deal at the club. He's just re-signed. He's not going nowhere. It's not like your salary cap's out of whack if he plays New South Wales Cup. I think it's all just about communication and Webster's proven he can do this, but just make sure he's in constant communication with Metcalf. Mate, this is the reason why I want to build your confidence in New South Wales Cup. You haven't fallen down the rung. You have the pecking order. You're still our main man. We still want to build a club around you. Just right now, what's best for the team is this, and what's best for you is this. And I think Metcalf being a team man, as long as he gets that communicated to him and he doesn't feel like he's on the outer, because sometimes what happens in this situation, the coach is thinking all this stuff, but they don't explain it to the player. So the player's sitting there he's in New South Wales Cup and he's looking across from him going, oh, I'm on the outer now. Like the coach barely speaks to me. But the coach is sitting there going, well, I'm just trying to do what's best for the player. But there's no communication. So
The hard one's going to be now from the recruitment retention point of view is going to be if Metcalf does go do that and the other two are killing it and they continue to kill it, then suddenly you've got three halves that are all going to be wanting, Metcalf's obviously re-signed for a long time. I'm not sure what the situation is with the other two, but I'm imagining one of them's going to come off contract soon because the other one's long term. So you're going to start getting some bidding wars happen. And when you got two blokes that are killing it that are on less money, they're obviously going to get some offers too.
I think as well, and I'm not being negative on Metcalf at all. I think he suits today's game so much. Like if you could almost make a guy in a lab for today's game, it's Metcalf. But the reality is he's only played about 40 NRL games. Could you please check for me, Matty?
Yeah.
Like that's like in regards to becoming a good half, you're looking at about like the 80 to 100 NRL games. So like for him to expect him 43 to expect him just like walk in and click and it just works for him. It's not like he's Cam Smith that's got 300 games behind him. So I think Harris Tavita suits what they need right now. I think he does seem to complement Tanner Boyd more, not because he's necessarily a better player, but for what you said. They've spent a whole preseason together.
Such a strong defender as well.
Strong defender, yeah.
Like he can put some shots.
That hit on King. He shot in front rowers, bro. Jesus. So
He's a big body.
mate, he's and he just has that kind of that warrior spirit. You see him in a Warriors jersey, you get that old school vibe from him. So, okay, South Sydney Rabbitohs for against the Dragons. Dragons paying $4.25. Man, the one thing with the Rabbitohs is they need to find a balance between relying on how good they can be when they complete a few sets and playing conservative footy. I just think at the moment they are far too willing to go, we made an error, doesn't matter. In 3 or 4 sets, if we complete, we know we'll score. Because they can.
They can, yeah.
But they just got to find a way. You can almost get the sense from them that they know when they turn it on, they can score points. Instead of earning it and building into that game. I just want to see a South Sydney game fully stripped back, high completion rate, and then build from there.
And I think a performance like that is actually what the Rabbitohs are capable of, but what they need. Like, as you said, I'm sure there's an air of confidence where they know that they can pull a game back, but you desperately just want to see a Souths performance where they do everything right, they starve a team, and they still score brilliant tries.
You haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
have you?
I mean, this could be.
Their left edge attack has been so clunky.
But the Dragons probably don't set you up for a game like that. Are you going into it thinking like we need to do this to win?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's going to be a hard one too. Like last week, Dragons showed good fight to come back. Manly got off to a really good start. Souths are a very similar style of footy team. Like they can get off to a good start. I don't know if the Dragons will be able to do that 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But I think the Dragons can. If they start well, they can really trouble South Sydney, but they just can't let South get off to a good start.
I like Dufty coming in at fullback as well, leaving Trell in the centres.
Mate, Cholla's been gun at centre. I know he's still
Don't
got
move him.
I know he overplays his hands sometimes, but he has been dangerous at centre. Was he 6 tries, a few try assists? Every time he touches the ball, you can tell the opposite centre is shitting themselves.
You would be.
Understandably so. Like that try on the weekend, he had fucking 6 blokes on him. Like, how did he get that down? Just mental. I love him at centre, and then he can still chime in with his boot. I just think there's 2 things. The preseason he would have done to be a centre, his body is going to be shaped differently than what it would have been a fullback. If he did a full preseason at fullback, like with trying to make his body ready for fullback, he would have lost 4 or 5 kicks.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
But the problem is with the game being so fast and him being such a big body, can his body hold up to that many Ks each week with soft tissue and that at this age, with being as big as he is? If you had but Latrell in the old style of rugby league, he probably could because it's not as quick. Whereas these days, you don't get any time to kind of. All the fullbacks seem to be getting smaller and smaller rather than bigger and bigger.
And the big ones, as you said, that the track record shows that there's too many injuries.
Yeah.
I'm getting so surprised. I was listening through the week of different media outlets. It actually surprised the hell out of me that so many people are saying, Latrell's getting towards the back end of his career. He's still 28. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many people that are 28 that are they're in it's the mid part of your career.
Yeah.
Like, he's not at the back end of your career. Like, it's quite funny.
And he's still the best centre in the game, essentially, when he's playing centre.
Yeah.
I like him at centre. Get him on, and also just get him on the field as much as possible. Just keep him there. He's been a stop and start for a few years. Matty, I'd love to get your thoughts. I've got no mic? Okay, don't worry. Okay. I'm going South. Okay, Tigers versus the Brizzy Broncos.
Seatown.
It's a good old fashioned
With
ambush
45
coming,
Broncos
boys.
fans.
It's a good old fashioned ambush coming.
You think?
It's a good old fashioned ambush. Nah. Come on, boys.
I think Tiger Town.
Yeah, I'm going
Tiger
Tiger
Town.
Town.
I'm going
God.
Tiger Town.
Well, Madge knows that place inside out. He's got something up the sleeve. Madge knows what's going on there.
What about the crowd? What's your thoughts on the crowd having to? They've asked them to stand this week instead of sit, so there's more capacity.
Mate, just shit club.
Wow.
That'll get them going.
Back in Seatown.
Look, I'll be honest. I love where the Tigers are at right now. They are the most exciting team to watch in
Yes.
2026 right now. Like, it's really that simple.
This goes down to the wire, I reckon.
Broncos steamroll them. They're not going to handle the
Steamroll 'em.
fucking
Reckon?
big dogs. Yeah, they're not going to handle that Queensland spirit, you know?
The only thing that concerns me is Jerome coming back.
Like, because like what will happen is, because what's been happening is
Disrupt the flow.
Madden has been playing like a 7, but he just had 6 on his back. Dewey's been playing like a 6. So Dewey's going to have to go back to playing like a 7 and Luai coming as a 6. It's going to be interesting to see.
Dewey was good last week.
I will say, though, the times that they did play together, they were pretty bloody good, Luai and Dewey.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You got to bring him back in.
Some of the pills he's throwing left to right to hit the winger from Dewey have been pretty good. I was just thinking,
Stupid.
if you can get them all in, you think if you put them all in the same starting side, who's the one that probably doesn't benefit? It's probably going to be Dewey. Dewey has to go to maybe like a 13. But then the problem with that is then you don't see that good stuff like he does, hitting wingers on the chest. You're not going to be able to do that at 13.
I reckon it's Luai, Dewey. Give him some time to build together.
Yeah.
Taruva's praying that stays that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. Roosters v. the Knights. Roosters v. the Knights. I will say I hope the Knights don't get touched up because it's like, it'll take away a bit of all that momentum and positive vibes we've had around the Knights for a while. Tough loss, obviously, against the Tigers. Got absolutely towed up. Roosters, they just got to, fuck me. They just have to hold the ball and stop giving away penalties. My God. It's just like, I want to know what Robbo says to him. Because it's been like this for so many years,
Have
bro.
you ever thought that he's actually saying to them, just let's make it hard for the other team?
Okay, let's bring him into the match.
Well, maybe, you never know. It might, a bit of rope-a-dope for the in rugby league terminology. But it's the Knights odds are pretty decent, I think. Like, I know there's
value.
I think that's good value. I think what we've been able to see from the Knights so far this year is that they've been able to, their spines. Like, if you look at it on paper, I know they've had some injuries. You've got Frizz and Dill out this week. Fletcher Sharp to fullback. Dylan Brown comes in. Sandor
wait
Smith
to see
7.
Sharp at fullback.
Their spine's not changed.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing the new rules have shown is that if you've got a healthy spine, you're always a chance. And I actually think, even though they got KP out, I still think that's a pretty healthy spine.
You know
I
what? You
can't
got me,
wait to see.
Johnsy. I'm going for it.
I'm
Upset.
going. Me too.
See
Going
Roosters.
upset.
No,
Yeah.
Roosters win. Don't
I
be
gave
silly.
him a compliment, but I'm going Roosters.
Wow. All right, Ren, let's
hook,
do
line,
it.
and sinker.
You and I, mate.
I can't wait to see Fletcher Sharp at fullback.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same.
Me too.
'Cause that's his best sport.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
going to be a gun. He's
And
going to
fresh, no defense for
Yeah.
him. Like I don't think he's been able to do that for a while. So
He's going to be a gun. But I just think Sydney Roosters, they got the clunkiness out in that first half. We saw what they could do in the second half. They came back from 22 to 6 down or whatever. They just
confidence at
they
early
get a
arms.
confidence. They get some clunkiness out of their game. I think they're going to come out and have a big one. Okay, the Eels versus the Dogs. Are the Doggies back, boys?
They're back.
They're back this week.
You know what? We spoke about it. They simplified their attack. And
Straightened up.
And they went back to their DNA of being a defensive side.
Yeah.
And I think off the back of that Penrith game, and no disrespect to Parramatta, this is the perfect game for them to really double down on what they were doing against Penrith. And that's their blueprint moving forward.
yeah,
Blueprint.
I think this is a real opportunity for the Dogs. I think this is their week to show everyone that we just had a bit of a rocky start. It's not been a bad start for the Dogs. I think expectations just been blown out of the water for them this year. But this is actually my upset of the round.
Shut
I,
up, man.
Parramatta have been, destroyed.
Oh my
We're not
God.
clipping it.
Destroyed by injuries.
Oh
I
my
think that last week, that the Titans obviously showed some vulnerability, but Mitch Moses might have a bit of a chip on his shoulder this week. I think there might be a bit of a hangover after the Penrith
Do you
game.
want to have a bag of
Hey,
fucking
Doggies.
cheese?
He's got a rock on it.
Doggies might have a bit of a hangover, but this is a great opportunity for the Dogs regardless to show consistency. But I think Parramatta can get a win here.
Oh my God. Come on, bro. Eels have been terrible this year so far. So up and down.
I'm just saying, I'm sniffing an upset.
You know what?
You know,
Famous
he'll
last
get
words.
this.
You'll get it. You'll get it. And I'll look like an idiot. I'll look like an idiot. I tell you what, if you do get, I'm never back in the Bulldogs again. And I'm going to fucking death ride them for the rest of the year too. Because they made me look bad. So you think Eels back against the wall? Oh, just
Back against the wall. I
all,
think
all
they've got-
jokes aside, like I've been a bit disappointed with them this year so far. the
Oh,
Eels.
yeah, I've been absolutely disappointed. But I think last week was a real kick in the ass. I think last week was a bit of a kick in the ass, and I just feel like it's good timing to have a team that they're the underdog against, and the doggies definitely were up for the Penrith
massive.
game last week. Like they knew going to that game, Penrith were $1.12 to win, and the doggies come out there and beat Penrith, and off the back of disrupting them, holding possession, really not allowing Penrith to do what they do good, which is put fatigue in you. They just didn't let them do it. I just don't know if they can back that up 2 weeks in a row. I still think they're a fair chance to win this, but I do think that if they can't replicate what they did last week in terms of the start of the game, first 15 minutes, not even that, first 10 minutes, they didn't even give Penrith a chance to put fatigue in them. Then I think Penrith, Parramatta are a decent chance here.
I just loved the blueprint style of play, and I just want to see it again. I just want to see it again.
Bulldogs blueprint.
I
There
just
it
want to
is.
see it again. A reaction maybe from the Eels, but a win.
Well, they got beat by 50 round one, and they came back and beat the Broncos the next week. So you never know.
Okay.
It was the Broncos.
Oh, come on, mate.
there it is.
What, the Melbourne Storm? Fuck, 0-5. What are you doing? What are you cunts doing? Fucking hell. Whole club's about to implode. Bellyache. He's lost it, mate. Lost the dressing room.
Sack him.
Joe Chan spraying him.
Back in.
He's on the chopping block.
Alrighty, that's us done and dusted. Make sure to give Backstage a follow, give Sandor a follow, Reni a follow, the BTFU, correct?
BTFU 180.
podcast, all that good stuff. And as usual, we'll go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.